By this point, you might have thought you'd seen it all when it comes to immigration. We've shown you on this program tunnels in Tijuana, big enough to march an army through. You've seen protesters beaten by cops in L.A., National Guardsmen accused of immigrant smuggling, politicians on every side of this issue. You've also gotten to know hard-working immigrants simply trying to make a better life here. But here's a prediction. You've probably never seen or heard a town like the one in Texas we're about to take you to. Because in this American town, the official language is now Spanish. Here's CNN's Ed Lavandera.
Hi, how are you? If you want to find what you're looking for in El Cenizo, more than just a little bit of Espanol goes a long way.
¿Hablas español o inglés? Both.
Consuelo Reynera works the cash register in this border town's only grocery store.
Most of your customers here, do they speak Spanish?
They speak Spanish, yes.
No English?
They do speak English a little bit.
El Cenizo is a small Texas town of 6,500 people overlooking the Rio Grande. It's not unusual for people down here to speak Spanish and English. Nearly everyone does. But El Cenizo is different. It officially conducts all of its city business in Spanish.
Hola, buenos días. I'm looking for the mayor, I don't know.
Today, the town is led by a 24-year-old mayor whose first language is English. He personally translates meeting agendas into Spanish.
So do you have a stack in English and a stack in Spanish? And at the end of the meeting, which stack is empty?
This one.
And these are all just kind of still sitting there. The English ones are still sitting there and the Spanish ones are gone.
Reyes says this was nothing more than a dusty border outpost until 1999. But now, with the city and its people speaking the same language, streets are paved, there's a police force, and a fire station.
Well, there's a lot of good, positive things happening, and you get to that with the support and the collaboration of the residents that reside in this.
And you think that happened because city business here is conducted in Spanish?
That's right. You know, we speak their language.
Most of El Cenizo's residents are Mexican Americans here legally. Reyes says since city council meetings are conducted in Spanish, more people participate.
What do you say to those people who say, you know, by God, this is the United States? You need to speak English.
No, I agree. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that if you want to prosper and you want to get a good job, you'll need to learn how to speak English.
And having Spanish as the official language isn't all that makes this town unique. It also considers itself a safe haven for illegal immigrants. A local ordinance prohibits city employees from turning in illegal immigrants. Angry threats poured in after El Cenizo made those changes, and they haven't stopped. But Police Chief Juan Alejandro says the attacks are senseless.
And if people get upset by it, then so be it. So be it. Get upset because you're not here, you're not in the situation, and you're not helping us.
People here like to joke that the official language should be Spanglish, a little bit of both languages, so everyone can understand.
Ed joins us now live. Do city officials have any plans to change these ordinances?
Well, it's been on the books for 8 years, and they say that it's been working well, and they're happy with the way it's working, so there aren't any immediate plans. They are pushing people in the town to continue to learn English as well. But you know, this isn't something that is unique to El Cenizo. We have seen a growing number in the last year of towns around the country who create these safe haven, sanctuary type designations for their cities. It's a growing trend that we've seen in several dozen cities across the country, and the opposite is true. There's also been a number of communities nationwide who have gone the other route, making it much harder for illegal immigrants in particular to live in their communities as well.
Ed Lavandera, fascinating. Thanks, Ed. So this small Texas town now on the map in a big way. I talked about it with syndicated columnist Ruben Navarrete Jr., who is also a member of the editorial board of the San Diego Union Tribune, and Rick Altman, director of Californians for Population Stabilization. Rick, you spent some time down in El Cenizo. What do you think about its policy of conducting city business in Spanish?
Well, El Cenizo is a nice enough town, but I think it's a bad precedent to have American cities conducting their business in any language other than the language of the nation and language of the economy. Because for Americans to understand each other and to get over the kind of prejudices that human beings naturally have, we have to be able to understand each other very well. We can't do that if we speak separate languages. But beyond that, the children need to be taught English to give them a chance at the American dream. English is a national language. It's the language of our culture. It's also the language of our economy. And if we want those kids to have a shot at the American dream, which they deserve, they need to learn to speak English. And so the precedent needs to be set that English is the important language that you need to learn.
Ruben, should that message be universal, that English is the important language to learn for the future?
Absolutely. It's a message that should be given out in schools, at home, in private situations, through clubs and organizations, but not through government. Government shouldn't be pushing English or pushing Spanish. It should be agnostic on this question. It should neither promote nor prohibit the given speaking
Should they
of language.
conduct, though, their business in Spanish?
I'll be honest with you, Anderson. It's really a small thing to me. It really isn't the end of civilization as we know it. I'm not really concerned about it. It's a small town on the U.S. Texas-U.S. border with Texas and Mexico. I think likewise, I'm not terribly concerned that in San Francisco they have ballots in Chinese. You know, I think if you have a population in a given area that requires, in a pragmatic sense, to speak them in a given language, I'm not terribly troubled by it. I don't think it's the end of civilization.
Are you troubled by them basically giving safe haven, or at least not having city employees turn in illegal immigrants?
That I am troubled by, because that's a whole different thing. I don't think that local governments should either impose Hazleton, Pennsylvania type ordinances that crack down on illegal immigration, nor sanctuary type laws that go easy on illegal immigration. This is a federal issue. Leave it to Washington.
Rick, what about you? The idea that it's sort of an illegal immigrant-free zone?
Well, the Hazleton type ordinance, Farmers Branch, Texas, and the others that are being considered don't crack down on illegal immigrants. They crack down on businesses and set standards for them to deal with, so that in fact the illegal aliens won't be serviced. But it does go hand in hand. It isn't the end of the civilized world. Ruben's right about that. However, it does go hand in hand. Everything that happens in our society means something, and what this town is sending the message is that you don't need to learn to speak English, when in fact we know you do need to learn to speak English. Parents understand this, whether they're illegal alien parents or American citizen parents of any national origin where their home language isn't in English. All parents know, if they want their children to do well, that they need to learn to speak English. In fact, Governor Schwarzenegger said it quite well a couple of weeks ago at the convention of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, when he said you need to turn off the Spanish-speaking media and you learn to speak English. And he knows that his success in America is tied to the fact that he learned to speak English at the very beginning.
We're going to have to leave it there. Ruben Navarrete, Rick Altman, gentlemen, thank you.